Hey, what's going on everybody? TrackIR here, and today we're in the AH-64D Apache, and this is my first Apache video, and it's going to be on the CPG, or the Copilot Gunner seat, and it's going to be more specifically focused for multiplayer usage on what key bindings to bind, and we're also going to go over some examples of crew coordination and using the sensors to put rounds on target. So really hope you enjoy this video, and I look forward to putting out more Apache videos in the future, so enjoy. Okay, let's go over some of the key commands I find important for the CPG while flying online. When you go into adjust controls and select it, it comes down with the AH-64D pilot, so make sure you do the drop down and select AH-64D CPG. Always make sure you're doing the right aircraft or position when doing this. The first one we're going to do is the cursor enter depress button, and pressing down on the cursor selects the item under the MPD cursor. So I use this when I'm trying to do a direct to fix or edit a fix on the TSD, and it comes in handy, so I usually use this one quite a bit. Next is the left-hand grip TAD sensor select switch FLIR and TV. I have both of these bound because it changes between the TAD's FLIR and TV modes. Next is bore sight polarity switch, and I use this to change between black hot and white hot when you're in FLIR mode. Next is the WAS for all of the weapons. That's on the left-hand grip, so gun, missile, and rocket. After that, we have the left-hand grip TAD's FOV switch, and there's actually 4 positions: narrow, wide, zoom, and medium. I usually use medium quite a bit because usually if you're zoomed in really far with a Z or a Zulu key or zoom, it's actually pretty zoomed in. So I usually use the medium one more often than not. Next is the right-hand grip second detent. If you hold this down, it constantly lasers through the TAD, so you need this one for Hellfires or lasing targets. Next is the left-hand grip weapon trigger switch, second detent. This actually fires the weapon or whatever you have selected. Next is the LHG or left-hand grip linear motion compensation button. I have this one bound, but at the present time I do not use it because there has been some discussion that this causes a desync with the Hellfire online. So at the present time, I don't use it. Right-hand grip sight slave button. This one slaves the TADs to whatever the acquisition source is, and this one comes in handy quite often, and I use this button more times than usually any other button that I have bound. The left-hand grip store update switch store center button. So if I'm firing a laser at a target, I can hit this button and it will store it as a basically like a mark point for us. Next is the right-hand grip sight select switch for TADs and the right-hand grip sight select switch for the HMD. It pretty much covers it for all the buttons. Now for the axes, I have the HOTAS right here, HOTAS cursor controller X and Y axis. And then I also have the right-hand grip man track controller X and Y axis. Now I have all these bound on a Warthog, and I have found that it works out great for me. So I actually use the joystick on the Warthog for the right-hand grip man track controller to move the TADs around. It has worked out really well. I know there's some tutorials out there for Xbox controllers, and I plan on doing it, but at the present time I'm actually using my Warthog stick, and the Warthog stick does a fantastic job for what I have to do with it. Okay, we just started up on a multiplayer server, and what do we have to do as the CPG? Well, pretty much nothing at all. There's only a few things you have to do, so your job is fairly simple in the startup. All we have to do is turn on the TDU or the TEDAC display unit, and it's with this knob right here in the top right. Change it to night or day, depending on the time of day. Next, we need to bore sight the IHADs. We'll go down to the primary lights control knob right here, turn it all the way to bright. And on the MPD, when you click on weapon, so if we click on weapon, you'll see bore sight right here. You can also move the cursor around, and I'm doing that with the HOTAS cursor slew switch. And if we click on bore sight, then IHADs, you can see that the cursor automatically defaults to bore sight now. So if we hit the cursor enter depress button, it will automatically bore sight. But if you slew this off and then you hit the button, it's not going to work. So always make sure that it is down here. Remember, it defaults to that, so if you just click IHADs right here, it will automatically slew back over to that. So we need to go ahead and foresight this now. So we got the IHADS with the I key. So you can use I or the HOTAS command. And all we have to do, just remember, just hit that cursor depress button. There we go. And we are now aligned with the IHADS. And it was fairly simple. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And the last thing you need to do is arm the laser. And that is fairly simple to do as well. So you just click weapon, the weapon utility, and right here it says laser, and there's an unfilled circle. That means that the laser is off. So if you click it, it goes to a full laser, and now the laser is armed, and you are set to go as the CPG. Okay, we're in the CPG seat, and we're going to go over just a few things before going into the practical examples. So let's talk about navigation first on the TSD. So sometimes the pilot will ask you to go direct to a fix. You can use the cursor, and here I am using the cursor with the HOTAS controller switch. And if you click a route direct, you can actually highlight number 3 here, and then hit the cursor enter depress button, and your direct waypoint 3. You can also hit direct, and then choose the waypoint right here on the right, or you can use the keyboard unit. To do the keyboard unit, you would hit direct, point, and then you would type in, let's say for instance, whiskey 01. Enter. Boom. We're going to whiskey 01. Again, route, direct, point, and it says point right here, and we'll do whiskey 03. So whiskey 03, enter. So that's how you do some navigation. Some other things that I do, we click on route again, go to map, and change it from chart to digital. I like the digital readout, and then color band, I like elevation. I like the green background here. You can also do aircraft here, so if there's any red, that means that it's above your current altitude. So this would be good for night flying. So I'm going to put it back to elevation for now. The other thing we do is the acquisition source, which is the bottom right button here, R6. And I always change this to pilot helmet sight, or PHS, which is R1. And we're going to show some practical examples, but basically if the pilot sees something, he can tell you, hey, my line of sight, I can hit the slave button on the TADS, and it automatically goes over to what he's looking at. And I'll deslave, and then I'll store a waypoint. So the other thing you want to do is make sure you're in the phase attack. So that way, if you make any target points, they'll show up under coordinate here. And we'll show an example of that in just a moment. So, phase attack, make sure you have your desired background, and then we'll move over to the TADS next. Okay, next we'll take a look at the TEDAC. Before we do that, let's make sure we are armed. So I'll click arm up here. And you can see on the bottom of the TDU, it says CHMD. That means that the IHADS symbology is selected. What we want to do is use the TADS symbology. So the TADS symbology select switch. And you can see now on the right-hand grip with the man track switch, I'm actually moving this around. Next, we'll take a look at the zooms. So these are the FOV buttons. So this is medium, that's narrow, wide, and zoom. So we'll stay zoomed in on this guy right here. And you can also adjust everything as you please while using the gain LEV. You can use the contrast here to bring down the contrast, and also the brightness. The symbology here, you can brighten that up or dim it as you wish. You can also use the polarity switch to go to black hot or white hot. I usually prefer white hot. Now, if we laze this target, you can see the symbology here. You can tell we're lasing, and you can also tell we're lasing on the TSD if you notice the white line. Now, if I hit the store button, so I'm going to hit the store update button, you see T01 has now been created on the TDU as well as on the TSD. Now, if I click coordinate on the TSD, you can see T01 has been selected as the MGRS and the altitude. So if you want to send this along to somebody, you have that there for you. Now, let's talk about the slaving of the TEDAC real quick, or the TADS. So let's say that I get distracted and I moved it all the way over here. So the acquisition source, remember it's on pilot helmet sight. Now what we can do is go to coordinate, click on the left here, so L1 for T01, and you can see the acquisition source down here says T01. Now if I hit the slave button, boom, we're right back at the target that we just stored. So to be able to move this around, you can see we're not being able to move it because we are in slaved mode, and you can tell that by the symbology here. Now if we hit slave, we are now deslaved, and we can move this around as freely as we want. So important though is to always change this back to pilot helmet sight in case the pilot finds something really quickly and he needs you to store something. So again, if we want to do that again, let's see, we want to store this target here. We'll laze, store update. You can see T02 has been created. And if we want to change it to T01 or T02, we just go up here to coordinate, click on the associated left-hand side button. Okay, next we'll WAS the Hellfires. So the Hellfires are now active, and we'll take a look at the Hellfires. So while flying online, it's good to have a different laser code than everybody else. So you can click on channel, so T1, and we'll choose Echo for this example. We can click channel again to go back, and then click code and choose Echo. Make sure you're doing the corresponding code that you selected for the channel. So we have Echo and Echo. So now we're on laser Echo, and the Hellfires will be looking for Echo. Next, we're inside the box. You can see the little square box here. Let's go ahead and laze the target. So we're lasing, there's the big box. We're in parameters, and I'll hold the second detent button for the fire the Hellfire. Make sure you're holding the laser. So we're lasing the target here. Boom, shack. Let go of the laser. So that's a good shack right there. Okay, so for this first example, Casmo's flying in the back, and I'm up front in the CPG. He asked for me to give him waypoint 3, and that is excellent crew communication between each other. And all I do is hit route, direct, and I select waypoint 3, and boom, we are on the way to waypoint 3. And that's how you work together as a team. So being a good CPG means you know how to navigate as well.
All right, waypoint 3?
Yes, sir.
Is up? Okay, cool.
I'll do it again so we get a fresh direct.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like fresh.
And, okay, for this example, I'm the CPG. Helgato is in the back. He's the pilot. And we're going outbound, attacking a target right now. I stored a target as T01. I just selected T01 as my acquisition source. So that way, when we turn inbound on the target, I can hit the slave button, and the TADs will automatically slave over to my target that I just stored. So right now, Helgato is turning inbound on the target. Again, acquisition source is T01 because that's my target that I want to slave to. Usually I have it in PHS, so that way if Helgato finds something with the line of sight, I can just slave to his helmet. Okay, so I slaved to the target, and here I am about to deslave the target right there. And I was just about to start lasing, and then all of a sudden, another helicopter blew it up. So we were going along here, and Helgato was like, hey, on my line of sight. So I quickly switched the acquisition source from T01 to pilot helmet sight, and I slaved and deslaved, and you'll see an example right here of that happening. You're still taking fire.
Oh shit, thanks.
He's taking fire from somewhere else.
Yeah, my line of sight.
Stand by.
Nope. Yep. My line of sight.
Got it. Tally. Here we go, baby. Oh!
Nice! Let's go!
AAA down. So if you haven't gotten the Apache yet, you're definitely missing out. So the CPG seat is probably my favorite seat at the moment because it's something new and different. And this was just a basic guide to try to help you get the key commands down and also explain just a few of the features that the CPG can do. So really hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.